And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the California Department of Veteran Affairs College Tuition Fee Waiver webinar. We want to welcome you. My name is Kirk Eller, and I am a training coordinator here in the California Transition Assistance Unit. We have a great webinar today with a wonderful topic on the California College Tuition Fee Waiver. We're going to get started. First off, we do have a lot of people registered for this webinar, so some people are going to be continually trickling in. There was over 400 people registered this afternoon. So it may take a little bit of time for everyone to get from the beginning of this attendee into the meeting. So we'll kind of slow down a little bit and just take our time. And if you have questions during this webinar, please open up the Q&A tab on your toolbar, and you can ask any questions throughout this webinar and address them in the Q&A tab. During this webinar, I have my colleagues Jana Adams and Jennifer Rudquist who will be running in the back and putting some more resources in the chat while we're doing this presentation. So as we get started, again, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us. We have a really good webinar today. We have going over some of the CalTAP overview as well as some of your California benefits. And then we have Cole Wagner, who is our local interagency network coordinator for the North Valley. He's going to provide you some information on roles and responsibilities that he has in the North Valley for a link. And then Nathan Johnson from the Contra Costa County Veteran Service Office is here. And he's going to go over some of the roles that he plays in his office plays with the college fee waiver and also with other benefits and services that they provide for veterans. And then Nancy Noriega, who is a Veteran Service Division benefits analyst. She's going to provide some information on what she does for the college fee waiver appeals process. And then we're going to follow up with a virtual Q&A at the end of this webinar. This is the Q&A tab. If you look on your toolbar here, you can click that tab and open that Q&A function, and you can type any of your questions in there, and we will send them to the subject matter expert, or they can answer them at the end of the Q&A. We also will be posting, like I said, in the chat function, resources as well as the resource book and some links and messages in the chat. So you may want to open that chat function up as well and access some of the information that's provided there. And now the CalTAP overview. Again, my name is Kirk Eller. I am a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, and I have been with the California Transition Assistance Team for since December of 2019. I started working for CalVet in April of 2019 in the Human Resources Department, and then I shortly transferred over in December to the CalTAP unit. So let's talk about CalTAP and what this program is. CalTAP was actually designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras on your earned benefits from state and federal, and then also provide that continued support as those needs change over time. And how we do that is with our different pathways. We have 5 pathways. They cover the core curriculum, education, employment, entrepreneurship, and then also a 5th provider for service providers. And this is a nice snapshot of a timeline on moments that matter in a life cycle of a veteran's life. And this, if you see here, it's hard to see the flags that are listed on this snapshot, but you can see that the service and separation, post-military life, and then retirement and aging. So this snapshot kind of gives you an overview of that continuum of care that CalTAP wants to provide at each one of these moments in your service and of your life cycle. So your needs are going to change at each one of these intervals, and that's where we want to stay connected with you so that we can provide those resources and benefits to you throughout this life cycle. So how can you use CalTAP online? On our website at calvet.ca.gov, if you log in there, that will take you to this page here, and from this page is a jumping off point to access many of your benefits here. We have our CalTAP unit highlighted here on the laptop that's focused there, but we also have a circle highlighted for My CalVet, where you can register for this program. And this is the web page that you will access all of your benefits for CalVet here. If you go to the CalTAP page and highlight, it will take you to the CalTAP portal. And then we have the education pathway highlighted. Although this topic is going to be covering a college tuition fee waiver, it is education-based, and there are some resources that may be useful during this education pathway, so that's why we wanted to highlight that here. Once you click the education pathway was actually designed to assist veterans and provide information for education for them on using their GI Bill benefits and how to access that, as well as selecting a school and what those school resources may be available to them. This is the different pathways that are the modules in the education pathway that you can access. They're self-paced modules, and they cover everything from selecting the school, what type of education benefits there are, and then each one of the different universities, whether it's a community college, a CSU, or a UC. So with that being said, this could be useful for even veterans dependents that are interested in using the college fee waiver. Perhaps they can get some use out of this when it comes to enrolling and selecting a school that they may be interested in. So how would they find out the college fee waiver information online? Through our CalTAP portal, which is shown here. It's highlighted under the core curriculum pathway. The core curriculum pathway has 11 modules, and each one of those are self-paced, and you can access information from healthcare, as well as claims and compensation, and then what your California specific benefits are, which is highlighted under Module 5. After you click that Module 5, you can see here that the college fee waiver lesson is actually highlighted, and this is where you will gain all that information and specific paperwork and downloadable materials for the college fee waiver. Once you click the highlighted link, that takes you here. You can see an overview of the lesson, and then you can see the different resources that are applicable to that fee waiver. Some of our other California benefits for veterans, obviously the college fee waiver is at the top of the list, and we're here to focus on that today. I would like to briefly mention a few of our other specific benefits for California veterans. If you do have any questions about these benefits, because I'm going to go over them rather quickly, please address them in the Q&A, or you can reach out to us at the end of this webinar, and you can contact us individually. We'll have a slide at the end of the webinar with each one of our speakers' contact information as well. So we have DMV programs. We have the registration fee waiver for motor vehicles, and then there's also honoring veterans' license plates, as well as the veteran designation on your driver's license. We have outdoor activities. You can have reduced fees for your hunting and fishing license, and also for the Distinguished Park Pass for veterans for California state parks. There are tax exemption programs. If you have a service-connected disability rating of 100% from the VA, contact your local county tax assessor's office to find out what tax benefits you may be eligible for. We have a wonderful Calvet home loans program. Brad Pedersen, who is our home loan specialist, my colleague will be putting his information in the chat. You can access his information there if you have questions about applying for a Calvet home loan. And then we have our Calvet Women Veterans Division. This is a wonderful division that provides advocacy and outreach to our Calvet women veterans, and also a statewide roster that you can sign up for to gain access and information on upcoming events. Our Calvet Minority Veterans also has a statewide roster that you can sign up for, and they too also provide advocacy and outreach for our minority veterans. They also assist with unnaturalized veterans in applying for citizenship. Our Calvet home loans, we have 8 homes throughout the state of California, and they provide excellent care for our veterans, from independent living all the way up to skilled nursing facilities and memory care units. And then we finish up with our 3 state cemeteries throughout the state of California for our Calvet cemeteries. One over in Seaside, California, one up in Igo near the Redding Veteran Home, and then our 3rd one is attached to the Yountville Veterans Home in Yountville, California. So other common veteran websites that you may be often familiar with is the va.gov. This is the VA's website, and it is kind of the big elephant in the room, so to speak, where you will access information about your benefits. And now you can actually manage your benefits through My VA. They're kind of transitioning away from the e-benefits portal and using the My VA portal to access and manage your benefits, from healthcare and disability and compensation, or education benefits, or accessing your records. This is the va.gov, and that's where you want to go for that information. The VA has another healthcare website called My Health eVet. This is an excellent website that you can use to access your health records. You can message your doctor and set up appointments, and then you can also register through the pharmacy to access your prescriptions all online. It's a very useful tool. Now, CalTAP wants to stay connected with you. As you looked at that snapshot of that timeline of care, this is how we want to stay connected with you. We want to provide your non-DoD email to CalTAP at calvet.ca.gov. And also, we asked you to register for My CalVet on our homepage, which was highlighted on that portal. You can add Facebook on our CalVet Veteran Services, which there's a QR code here on this page. And then you can attend webinars like this one. If you do attend a webinar, you will be asked to fill out a survey, which we will have you do that here. There is a QR code here and also a survey link. We do ask that you take the time to fill out this survey because we value that feedback, and we take that information and provide that improvements on our webinars to make sure that we're giving you the most feasible information that you're in need of. And if you sign up for My CalVet, you will also be in access to our monthly newsletter. This monthly newsletter is a nice resource for you to access our monthly topics for the month, and also receive a message from our Deputy Secretary of Veteran Services, Keith Boylan. He will provide that message and highlight the topic, and you can also access a way to register for the webinars for that month on the highlighting the topics that we're talking about. This is my contact information. You can email me, or you can call the 800 number on the screen there. We do pride ourselves and have a live person answer these phones on the calls. If you do not get somebody on the phone immediately, please leave a message and we will get back to you with your question and your information that you're looking for. You can email me directly here, and I will be sure to get back with you as well. So now I'm going to turn it over to our local interagency network coordinator, who is Cole Wagner for the North Valley. Thank you, Cole, for joining us, and he's going to tell you what his roles and responsibilities are.
Thank you, Kirk. Thank you for having me. Next slide, please. So as Kirk mentioned, my name is Cole Wagner. I am the local interagency network coordinator for the North Valley, which is depicted in orange there at the top of the state. And my role is kind of a interesting one, and I have a very long title, and I like to sum it up as somebody who helps connect people to resources and helps connect resources to other resources. So if you've lived in California for a while, or even just looking at the map, you notice that it is a huge state, and it's incredibly diverse, both geographically and by population. And the availability of veteran resources throughout the state is different wherever you live. The veteran resources that are available in San Diego are a lot different than the veteran resources that are available in Redding in Northern California. And so it can be complicated to navigate all those different resources and get the benefits that you need and are entitled to. And so that's where the link can come in. The link is the local representative for CalVet. And so we are experts within our regions at getting folks to the right resources that they need. Specifically in relation to the college tuition fee waiver, we maintain relationships at every community college, state CSU school, and UC school in our region. And we also maintain relationships with every county veteran service office in our region. And so we know the folks to link you up with to help you get the benefit that you need. And so if you are zooming in from somewhere in the state other than far North California, there is a local interagency network coordinator that works in your area that can help you get access to these benefits. Their emails are listed there on the screen. There's also a PDF copy of the map in the chat right now that you can open up and see a larger version of it and save it for later. And so that is the way that you can, if you have a question about what benefits are available where you live, you can contact your local link. Next slide, please. Some of the folks that we work with, service members, veterans, and their families. We also work with all the service providers in the area, and advocacy to local communities is also a big one. Part of what we do is just teaching veterans about what their benefits are and helping those people who are doing great things for veterans work together so that we're delivering those services as efficiently as possible. Next slide, please. So we work with folks like the Employment Development Department. Like I said, we work with the county veteran service offices. We work with the VA hospitals, clinics, the VA vet centers, the VA regional offices, and then all of those schools, education providers, pretty much everybody that can help with getting you benefits. Next slide, please. So this is my contact information. My email is available, and then there are the emails for the other local interagency network coordinators in the chat. I'm super excited about this webinar. I like to do these webinars, but I am a disabled Army veteran with 3 kids, and so this topic is near and dear to my heart, that the prospect of not having to pay for their college is something that gets me very excited. So happy to help with this webinar and happy to be here.
Thank you, Cole. I agree. I too is near and dear to my heart. You know, my both of my dependents use the fee waiver for their education purposes. It's a great program. So now Nathan Johnson, who's the County Veteran Service Officer for Contra Costa, is here. He's going to give you a lot of insight on this fee waiver, specifically a lot of this eligibility requirements and how to apply and how their office can assist you, or all the county offices. So I think it's important, Nathan, to point out the integral role that your office and the County Veteran Service offices play in the part of this college fee waiver, how they actually have to go through this process of applying for this in coordination with CalVet. So we value you and we appreciate you joining us today to provide this information. And I will turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Kirk, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's very exciting to see 238 of you joining us right now. And I know that the number continues to grow. And a lot of you are asking very good questions. So thank you for those questions. Thank you for your interest in the tuition fee waiver program here in California. I'm Nathan Johnson. I'm the Contra Costa County Veteran Service Officer. So although I probably don't live in your county, I am only one of many people that can help you better understand and apply for this benefit. And we'll get into that in just a moment. I am a Marine Corps veteran. I served in Iraq in 2003, and I've been helping veterans since 2004. So it's an honor to join you today. Next slide, please. So where does the County Veteran Service Office program fit in this multi-tiered level program? You know, we have a very generous nation, a very grateful nation for the service of our veterans. And to thank our veterans, we have several different agencies that provide benefits to veterans. Those benefits, however, are so generous that they are very complex and very hard to understand and navigate alone. And so although we don't provide the benefits like the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs does, or like CalVet does, we get to be your local level expert and advocate to help you understand the language, understand the process, and advocate on your behalf to ensure that if you're eligible for this benefit, that we obtain that benefit for you from either the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs or the state level CalVet. We're joined by other service providers throughout the state. Many of them are nonprofit organizations. And that's why it's important, if you're a veteran out there, that you take a look at joining organizations like the American Legion or VFW or DAV, or making contributions to organizations like Source Plowshares, because that membership and that donation contributes towards many national service officers who are doing the same work that we are as county veteran service officers. So we're part of a large team, and we've been around here in this state for 77 years now. well before my time. Next slide. The VA is similar to the military. For those of you that have served in the military, I know there's some dependents in this call today. It's important to understand that the VA is as different in terms of its administrations as the Department of Defense. And so it's hard to understand that the Veterans Benefits Administration and the Veterans Healthcare Administration are as different as the Army and the Marine Corps is. But the Veterans Healthcare Administration is your largest agency in terms of people and facilities, and those are the doctors and nurses providing you with care. And when you apply and contact the Veterans Healthcare Administration, you're only contacting that part of the VA. Whereas separately, the Veterans Benefit Administration is the largest agency within the VA in terms of money, dollars, because they bring the dollar benefits to veterans, like disability compensation. And disability compensation is one of the main eligibility criteria for the California tuition fee waiver. But don't overlook other benefits that the VA offers, like the National Cemetery Administration, providing final honors for veterans and their spouse, not only interment in a national cemetery, but things like a headstone or a marker. And of course, don't overlook your state agency, CalVet, and all of the many benefits that they provide, which Kirk covered earlier. Next slide. So again, what does the CVSO do? I summarized this real quickly, but more specifically, we provide veterans and their dependents and the community with free assistance in helping you understand and apply for VA benefits. That's important to understand in terms of free, because many agencies out there are offering a similar service, but they're not free. Many agencies out there are advertising to help veterans apply for benefits, but they charge a fee. And so what's important to understand is that CVSOs, as a public agency, as a county agency, are providing this assistance to you at no cost. We, in 2020, brought in several millions of dollars for veterans in federal benefits. In the state of California, it was approximately $540 million in 2020, and then 336 in continuing annualized benefits for California veterans. So we do a lot to help bring those federal dollars back to our state. Every county in California, except Alpine County, and I challenge anyone to tell me where Alpine County is, but it's only about 1,200 people. But every other county in the state of California has a county veteran service office. And it might be one person, or it might be a large office with several locations. Here in Contra Costa County, where I'm located, we have 4 locations and we have a virtual office. So if you don't live here in Contra Costa County and you're wondering where your CVSO is, you can just go to the website there, cacvso.org, and that'll help you locate your local county veteran service office. They're pretty simple to find also just with a basic Google search. Next slide. So most of what the CVSOs get involved in on a day-to-day basis is primarily the monetary benefits that the VA provides. Service Connection, or a program called Disability Compensation, and 2 programs called Disability Pension and Survivor's Pension or Death Pension, are primarily the work that we do as a County Veteran Service Office. But we get involved in the other important benefits as well. Designation on your driver's license. If you didn't know, in 2015, the state of California now allows a veteran to put the word veteran on their driver's license. And you just need to present a DD-214. It needs to be an original or certified copy. Or if you served in the Reserve or the National Guard, you can have the word veteran put on your driver's license as well. You just need to bring in a Reg 256A. That's the honorable discharge certificate that you received at the end of your reserve service. Or NGB Form 11, which is similar to the active duty DD-214. But today we're here to talk about the College Fee Waiver Program, and that is the County Veteran Service Office program is the primary location for veterans to apply for the Tuition Fee Waiver Program. Although it's a state benefit approved by the state legislator and overseen by the CalVet program, you actually apply for the tuition fee waiver through your local county veteran service office. Next slide. And I have people raising their hands, but I'm not sure, Kirk, how we handle that now or later on, but I'll continue unless you want me to take questions now.
That's okay, Nate. We can address everything in the Q&A. So if they have their
Okay.
if they
Very good. I'll continue on. Thank you for your question or raising your hand for a question. Just put it in the Q&A and many people will work to get those questions answered. So earlier in the slide, I mentioned that most of the work that we do is as a county veteran service office is to help with the VA's service connected or disability compensation program. And I want you to take away this in regards to service connection. It is a legal program. And in order to navigate the program, you have to have a legal perspective. Many veterans become frustrated or confused by the program when they talk to other veterans because it seems like there's a disparity between what a veteran receives and what another veteran receives. And oftentimes a veteran will attribute their military service to what the VA should rate them in regards to service connection. So things like, doesn't the VA get it? Don't they know what I went through? Are common feelings the veterans have regarding the service-connected disability compensation program. But if I can help you understand the legal perspective of this program, it means that the VA requires 3 things to establish service connection. And they want to grant service connection when the law allows them to do so. And these 3 things are: 1, an event, injury, or illness on active duty. Now, I said active duty because disability compensation is for injuries that manifest during active duty. So an event, injury, or illness on active duty. The second criteria is a current chronic condition. Many veterans come into our office and they want to apply for service connection based on an exposure. I want to be service connected because I was exposed to JP8 fuel. Well, without a current chronic condition, then the VA cannot grant service connection. The third requirement, and all 3 of these are required, not 2 of the 3, not 1 of the 3, but all 3 are required. The last requirement is a nexus, linking the current condition to your military service. And where do you get that nexus? That's a medical doctor's opinion. It could be a psychologist for a mental health condition. It could be an audiologist for a hearing loss or tinnitus issue, or it could be any board certified physician for a musculoskeletal or a disease or any type of injury that is a current chronic condition related to your military service. That is the legal perspective of the VA disability compensation program. And once the VA grants service connection, then they grant a percentage of compensation anywhere that ranges from 0% to 100%. And the VA does not do basic math. So, for example, 50 plus 50 does not equal 100. They use a combined rating schedule. And we'd have to have a whole separate webinar for me to help you understand that a little bit better. But 50 plus 50 equals 75. If you can figure that out, then good for you. Otherwise, it is pretty complicated. But this is important in regards to detailing service-connected disabilities because along with honorable active duty service, having a service-connected disability rating of 0% or higher is required for the tuition fee waiver program here in California. Next slide. Okay, I covered that. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so how do we help veterans apply for disability compensation? A lot of you are curious about the tuition fee waiver, but if you haven't established a service-connected disability, if you don't have a rating by the VA of 0% or higher, that we cannot progress in helping you understand the tuition fee waiver because you have to have a service-connected disability first. So the process there is multi-layered as well. It starts with filing an intent to file. An intent to file is like a bookmark, okay? Lots of evidence is needed to gather information about that evidence of an event in service, a current chronic condition, a nexus. A lot of work goes into that. And so rather than waiting several weeks or several months to complete that and losing potential entitlement, veterans should come into a CVSO today and file an intent to file. It's a bookmark telling the VA that at some point in the next year, you intend to file a formal claim. And what the VA will do is they'll put a bookmark on the date of February 8th, 2022. And as long as you file that claim within 1 year, should they grant you any monetary benefit, it would come back to February 8th in terms of the effective date. So after the intent to file, then you can start to gather that evidence. Most of the evidence of the event that occurred in service is going to be in your service treatment records. So if you have a copy of those, you're going to want to review those. Were you treated for the condition? Where were you treated? When were you treated? Obviously, gather any evidence that shows the current chronic condition. Have you been treated at a private hospital or by a private doctor? If so, gather evidence of that treatment. And is there a doctor already that has opined that your current condition is related to your military service? If so, try to gather that evidence. Try to get a statement from that doctor. Once you've submitted all that evidence to the VA, likely if the VA is able to verify that you were treated in the service for the event or the injury or the illness, then they'll schedule you a compensation and pension exam. And this will be a one-time exam in the community with a private provider. And the purpose of that exam is to determine, is there a current chronic condition? Is it related to your military service? If so, what is the current severity of that condition? And all three of those answers to those questions are how the VA makes a decision on your claim. Typical decisions today are averaging about 4 to 6 months. That seems like a long time, but believe it or not, 2012, when I first started at CVSO, veterans were waiting 2 years for a decision. Next slide. Okay, the meat and potatoes here. The California College Tuition Fee Waiver Program. What a great benefit this is. And not every state in the nation has this benefit, but we are fortunate here in California to have this benefit. And we hope to preserve it so that future generations of veterans are able to use it for their dependents as well. So who's eligible? Well, primarily the dependents of a service-connected veteran. There are some criteria under the tuition fee waiver for Medal of Honor recipients, but there's not a lot of Medal of Honor recipients in California. So primarily under Plan A and Plan B, who's eligible are the dependents of a service-connected veteran. And Plan B, I'll say, is probably about 90% of the applicants, maybe 95% of the applicants that veterans, that dependents apply for. And that's because Plan B is for any veteran with a service-connected rating of 0% or higher. 0% could be for something as simple as a scar. A common disability in the military is tinnitus. That generally rates a 10% rating. Sometimes hearing loss is rated as low as 0%. So Plan B, any dependent child of any age who's attending a public university in the state of California is eligible under Plan B. Now, there is an income limit for that, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail here in a bit. Plan A is for the dependent of a service-connected veteran who is rated 100% by the VA. The difference between Plan A and Plan B is that Plan A is also for the spouse, whether that be the living spouse or the surviving spouse of a deceased veteran. So Plan A is not just for the dependent children, but also for the spouse. The catch to Plan A, I shouldn't say the catch, the enhanced eligibility requirement for Plan A is that you have to have wartime service. Now, of course, just to refresh everyone, these tuition fee waivers only apply to public universities in the state of California. So be very careful to make sure that that four-year university is either a CSU, a California State University, or a UC, a University of California. And then, of course, all of the community colleges throughout the state as well. Now, going back to the income limit. The difference between Plan A and Plan B is that Plan A does not have an income limit. It has an age limit of 26 for a dependent. But Plan B has an income limit and no age limit. So as long as that dependent child continues to have an adjusted gross income less than the national poverty threshold, then they remain eligible. A lot of people ask the question, can I use this benefit, or can my dependent use this benefit for grad school? The answer is yes. If their income is below the national poverty threshold, which is currently $13,465 for the existing academic year, 21-22. $13,465 is the adjusted gross income plus parental support limit for academic year 21-22. And CalVet updates that number on an annual basis. So soon we'll have the new number for the academic year 22-23. So those are the differences between Plan A and Plan B. Many of your county veteran service offices have fact sheets on how to understand the differences between Plan A and Plan B, because I know there's a lot to remember there. So what I would encourage you to do is contact your county veteran service office, ask them for their fact sheet on the tuition fee waiver program or their packet, and they'll send it to you. When should you start applying? When should you start doing that? Well, if you have a child that's in college right now, they're attending a community college or a UC or a CSU, then you should apply today, because right now is the academic year 21-22. And they might be eligible, at least for the spring semester, for a waiver of their tuition fees. If your dependent or your spouse is not going to attend college until the fall, which would be academic year 22-23, then they should apply anytime after the tax deadline for Plan B, and possibly, or at best, no later than 30 days before their school starts in the fall. So sometime between, April 15th and I'd say August 1st, they should apply at their county veteran service office. And what that office is going to do is they're going to assist them by helping them understand what evidence is needed. Again, an application, information on their income, whether that be a statement of non-filing or a signed 1040 tax form, and then proof of dependency status, whether it be a marriage certificate, birth certificate, adoption decree, and proof of service connection. Proof that you will have, in fact, a service connect rating of 0% or higher for Plan B, or 100% for Plan A. Next slide. This is a copy of the application. This is known as the DVS-40. How will you know it's a DVS-40? Well, you only know if you look in the very bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and in the bottom left-hand corner, it'll say DVS-40. So that's the application for the California Department of Veterans Affairs fee waiver. On the back of the application has a description of the different plans. Again, Plan A and Plan B are 99.999% of the applications submitted, and Plan B is about 90%. Plan C and Plan D do exist, but again, they're for those who died during National Guard service or for Medal of Honor recipients. Not a lot out there. This application, along with the evidence to support the application, will go to your county veteran service office and generally should be processed within a couple of days. CVSOs do not need to seek, at least for an approval or denial, do not need to seek the decision of the VA or from CalVet. They are actually able to make a decision on eligibility for the tuition fee waiver and grant a tuition fee waiver letter right there at the county level. Next slide. I think this is just a CalTAP fact sheet on the tuition fee waiver program, just explaining in more detail Plan A and Plan B. Next slide. And of course, some resources on the CalVet fee waiver fact sheet from CalVet, including how to find a VA facility, how to find a county veteran service office, and other important information too, like the Veterans Crisis Line and the Combat Call Center, which is under the Vet Center program, and a call center for women veterans as well. Next slide. So how do I find my local CVSO? Next slide. Well, as I mentioned before, every county in the state of California has a county veteran service office. If you don't have a copy of the CalVet handbook that is produced on a regular basis, it's like the VA Bible. But in the CalVet handbook is a list of every CVSO office. You can locate it in the handbook as well as on the web. Google search or go to cacvso.org. Next slide. You can also go to CalVet website, calvet.ca.gov, and do a service provider search, and that'll help you find your county veteran service office as well. Next slide. CVSOs have their own hotline that's automated, 844-SERVE-VET or 844-7378-838. That's highlighted there or circled and highlighted on the screen. 844-SERVE-VET. If you type in your zip code, again, it's an automated service. Type in your zip code, it'll automatically forward you to your county veteran service office. Your county veteran, your CVSO will pick up the phone and not know how you got there, but it'll link you right to them. So next slide. And that's it. I'm sure there's many questions. I hopefully covered that in the amount of time given. So our office is available by phone. We also have a virtual office. And again, if you don't live in Contra Costa County, you'll be served just as well by your local CVSO. And you can access them by calling 844-SERVE-VET or finding them on the website. So thank you so much.
Nathan, thank you very much. We appreciate your time and consideration for presenting today for us. And yeah, I understand it was very important to delineate why it's important to have that service-connected disability. That's why we included those slides. Many of our attendees may be asking, hey, we haven't got to the college fee waiver yet, but it's an important caveat that you inform them that that's a requirement and eligibility for that benefit. So thank you for providing that information. And Nathan will be around to address any questions in the Q&A as soon as we're done here at the end. And now we have Nancy Noriega, who's here, and she's going to provide some information, hopefully answer a lot of frequently asked questions on the college fee waiver and the appeals process and the denial letters that people get oftentimes. So Nancy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Kirk. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All righty. So just like Kirk said, my name is Nancy Noriega, and I do wear different hats for our division. I am sort of the unofficial bookkeeper for all these county veteran service offices, dispersing the funding that they get to offset some of the money to administer their offices. However, today I'm going to wear my college fee waiver denial hat. But before that, I would like to discuss, before I discuss the appeal process, I would like to take the opportunity to review some of the frequently asked questions in an attempt to dispel some of the misconceptions about the college fee waiver. And, you know, with a big program, it happens. Excuse me. Then we can turn our focus to the appeal process. And at the end, I am going to stick around with the other panelists. And if there is a question that I don't have an answer for you readily available, or if we don't have time, there's a very good attendance number. So no worries. We will have, or Kirk and Jana and Jennifer will have our contact information, and you can contact us offline, and we will answer your questions, or I'll answer some of your questions. So frequently asked questions. Is there a particular grade point average required to qualify or apply for the college fee waiver? No, I suspect that the schools will have some standards, but for our purposes, if you'll notice on the DVS 40 that Nathan showed you earlier, there are no questions about grade point average. On the same token, what if a student drops one or multiple classes? Does the student have to reimburse CalVet? Absolutely not. There are no transactions. Once the award letter is issued and it's transferred to the school, Any disputes about drop classes, etc., is done at the student and the school level. Do students have to be enrolled in classes first in order to apply or qualify for the college fee waiver? No. So the student can apply right before the academic year or anytime during any semester, as long as it falls within that academic year. Anything after the academic year for your school ends, there are no provisions under the law to grant a fee waiver for retroactive benefits. Let's see. What if the student is attending multiple schools? Can a CVSO issue multiple grant letters? Yes, they can. You will have to complete an additional DVS 40 naming that additional school. But yes, you can, or a student can attend multiple schools during any given academic year. Now, can the student apply for the college fee waiver at the VA office or student resource center in the respective schools? No. Your local county veteran service offices are the only offices authorized to process these applications and issue award letters. You can go to the resource center or financial aid and seek information, but when it comes down to applying for the college fee waiver, you have to do so at your local county veteran service office. Next, please. So can the veteran or student qualify for the college fee waiver if they have a criminal record? There are no provisions under the law that prohibit a student from applying and being granted a college fee waiver. You know, if you're free or if the student is free to apply and go to school, they will do so. This is a very important one. What fees are waived? My local school does not want to waive certain fees. That is why it's very important, and we strongly encourage applicants to research their classes very carefully. The California Department of Veterans Affairs does not have the authority to dictate or direct schools on what to waive. That will be determined or will be resolved between the student and the school. The next bullet is the veteran divorced his or her spouse and still considers the former stepchildren as family members. The children have only known the veteran as a parent. Can they qualify for the college fee waiver? You know, the veteran, the former stepchildren are the only, or the veteran is the only parent that they have ever known. Well, unless the veteran adopted the children while they were married, or even after they were married, once the veteran and the spouse divorce, that stepchild status is severed. So that would be no. Can I receive grants from public or private entities in the California fee waiver at the same time? That is typically something that is handled at the school level, but I do know that, for example, if a student receives some money, some grants to pay for school, and then receives a college fee waiver award letter that waives those fees, then the school is going to, I'm not sure if they'll ask you or they'll make that determination for you. But bottom line, you will not be able to get money for school and then have it waived. You can't make money off of going to school. They typically call that double dipping. The last bullet here is, do I have to apply in the county that I live in or where I go to school? And you can apply just about anywhere. If you live in Sacramento County and you're going to school at UC Santa Barbara, you can apply in Sacramento, take your letter the following year. If you're in Santa Barbara, and you want to reapply for the fee waiver, then you can go to the Santa Barbara County Veteran Service Office and apply. So there is really no rule or regulation that prohibits a student from applying, you know, at any local county veteran service office. Okay, let's see. Next, please. Okay, so now, once the County Veteran Service Office process the college fee waiver, and you know, if the fee waiver is denied, applicants who disagree with denials of California fee waiver benefits from the county have the right to appeal the county's decision to the California Department of Veterans Affairs, CalVet. That's one of the hats that I wear. So typically when I receive an appeal, next slide, please. The county issues a denial letter, and it's a computer generated denial letter that of course has or will have the student name and address. It'll have other information such as the county who issued the denial, the academic year. And if you see these little boxes here, typically the county will mark one or several boxes, and those paragraphs with the boxes delineate the reason why the student was denied, along with any rules or laws that govern that decision. Now, of particular interest to CalVet is, if you look on the right-hand side, the second page at the bottom, there is a 4-sentence paragraph. Now, it is very important that students read the entire letter because sometimes we have appeals that are routed just about everywhere. So next slide, please. This is the paragraph that is on the appeal letter. So if you disagree with my decision, meaning the county decision, you may appeal to CalVet, Deputy Secretary, Veteran Services Division, 1227 O Street, Suite 500, Sacramento, California, 95814. Now, currently, there are discussions about the possibility of appealing electronically or online, but that's still in the works. As of right now, you will send, or the student would send their appeal to that address. Your appeal must be in writing, stating the specific reasons why benefits should be granted and received by CalVet within 90 days of the date of this letter. So your appeal should include evidence and or statements that support your belief that the denial of benefits was issued in error by the county. It's also very important to include some type of contact information, whether it be a telephone number, an email address, or both. I many times receive appeals where the student includes a very nice essay, but there's absolutely no immediate contact information other than a mail address. So please be cognizant of that, and so we can get your appeal processed properly. Once I receive the appeal, what I do is I pretty much process the application again. What I do also is I contact the county that issued that denial, and I ask them to provide me with all of their paperwork as to the basis for the denial. So what I do is I put those two factors together, and you know, sometimes the fee waivers are overturned if there was something was not included the first time around, or you know, if there was a slight oversight, which it doesn't happen that often, but it does happen. So CalVet will issue an award letter, or most likely the the application with the correction is rerouted back to the County Veteran Service Office so that county can revisit that application. Now, if an applicant further disagrees with CalVet's decision, the student has the right and the opportunity to appeal to a second level appeal, and that is to the California Veterans Board. The California Veterans Board consists of 7 governor appointees with different professional backgrounds who serve as your advocate and are independent of CalVet. Now, at that point, if the student does not agree with CalVet decision, that information or the CalVet board information will be given at that point at their request. Let's see. So is there another slide? Next slide. Kirk?
Yes, this is the last slide about the other fees.
Oh,
Nancy.
okay, thank you. So if I can leave you with this and emphasize that mandatory system-wide and tuition fees are extremely different with every school. So the law does not prohibit these schools from charging all sorts of different fees: campus-wide, campus-based, self-support, privately funded, student body cards, parking permits, health fees, all sorts of fees that are not included under the fee waiver. And that is why, again, we strongly recommend that you research your classes before enrolling in classes. I also want to tell you to please contact your local county veteran service office. They are your first line of defense in all things veteran. I can answer some questions on college fee waiver processes and appeals, and you'll have my contact information shortly. And if you don't get to ask anything right now, because of the time constraint, all is not lost. You'll have our contact information. Send me an email or as many emails as you need, and I will spend some time with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy. And yes, we have been receiving quite a few questions throughout this webinar. So it's highly popular topic. And we do appreciate everybody chiming in. Jen and Jana have been doing an excellent job focusing on their questions and answering, as well as Cole and Nathan. This is everybody's contact information. If you'd like to take a snapshot of that, or they'll be providing another PDF upload of our website, of the webinar, in the chat so that you can download all of these slides. And then again, I wanted to make a comment that this webinar is being recorded, and you will be able to access this webinar at a later date on our website, which should have a link in the chat for that as well. So with that being said, I'm going to start moving it over to the Q&A portion. I know Jana and Jennifer have been going at the questions rapidly, and they've been coming in quite steadily. So thank you for that. Jana, how are we doing there?
Okay, well, yes, like Kirk said, as you guys can see, there's lots of questions. Looks like we've answered 108 so far, gotten lots of comments too. We kind of moved some of those comments into the dismissed, only just to kind of keep the flow of the open questions going for us. But so there's been, I'm going to go over some of these questions that we haven't answered yet, of course, as everyone is still answering. And again, thank you to everyone on this call, Cole and Nancy and Nathan and Jen, for jumping on all these answers. I can see you guys typing the answers right now. But one question that came up, and maybe this may be for Nathan, I believe, or maybe Nancy, whoever wants to chime in. What is considered financial assistance from the parents? If you're not providing direct financial support, but are allowing your child to stay in the home, for example. If that is considered help, how is that calculated?
You want to go, Nathan?
Either way.
Yes, that's a common question, and I can understand the confusion. The primary eligibility based on income is the student's adjusted gross income. But of course, if the parent is financially supporting the student, then that counts towards their income as well. So don't think of this as how much food did they eat? How much utilities did they absorb? What should be their portion of rent? Think of this as what amount of money did you pull out of your pocket and hand to that student? So if they earned an income of $10,000 and over the course of the year, you supported them by providing them with financially with $1,000, then that would be the value of parental support. As long as those two amounts don't exceed the national poverty threshold, the student should remain eligible. That, of course, only applies to Plan B. It doesn't apply to Plan A because Plan A doesn't have a income limit. So Plan B is very confusing in that regard. But most part-time or most dependents of veterans who are employed part-time don't even come close to the annual national poverty threshold. I know that minimum wage and some wages paid to part-time workers is increasing, but that should be adjusted with the new national poverty threshold rates that'll be coming out soon.
Hey, Nathan, I'd like to also point out that the Plan B, if they're within that threshold of that $13,000, they're eligible to use the Chapter 35 for their dependents if they are 100% service connected and the children have that CHAMP VA Chapter 35 eligibility. They can use that congruently with Plan B so that they can collect for BAH if they have housing or books costs, and then they can use the fee waiver to waive that tuition. That is ineligible. It's not eligible for Plan A, but you can use it with Plan B.
That's true. Thanks, Kirk.
Oh, great. Nathan, another question for you. Can a dependent use the fee waiver for taking college courses while still in high school?
There's an age limit. The dependent has to be 18 years old. From my understanding, stop me if I'm wrong there, Nancy, but the dependent has to be 18 years old. So yes, if they're 18 and they're in high school and want to get an early start on college, then they can apply for the tuition fee waiver.
Okay. What about my daughter is currently attending Cal Poly Pomona using the fee waiver. If she receives a partial scholarship, how will that affect the fee waiver?
The income limit is only the amount reported to the IRS or to the franchise tax board as the adjusted gross income. I'm not an accountant, I'm not a tax attorney, but scholarships are not a part of your reportable adjusted gross income. So it should be what shows up on a signed 1040 or 1040 easy, or if the dependent didn't earn enough to have to be required to file taxes, then a statement of non-filing from the IRS or the franchise tax board would be the only proof of income documents required for the tuition fee waiver.
Okay. Let's see. My veteran husband has 100% disability rating. Is that considered a part A or part B? Well, that would be for Plan A. Maybe Nathan, maybe you should take this one.
Yeah, well, I just want to take a moment just to thank everyone for still hanging in there. There's 185 of you still here. This is such an important benefit. So if you're feeling lost, just, hang in there, talk to a CVSO. There's a lot of pieces to this, but this is such an important benefit for you and your dependents. And if you don't think that you're going to qualify for this, make sure you tell your neighbor, make sure you tell your friend. And if you've got a buddy who hasn't applied for service connection, maybe this will be the incentive for them to finally do so, because when they know that there's a dependent benefit out there that they're potentially going to miss out on, that sometimes helps them move past that kind of humbleness that occurs. But 100% service connected, to go back to the question, can apply mostly to Plan A. But in some circumstances, as Kirk mentioned before, you can also use Plan B when you're 100% service connected in combination with Chapter 35 Dependents Education Assistance. See, DEA, Chapter 35 is a federal program, and it provides your dependent with a monthly stipend. Every month they'll get money from the VA that helps them pay for books, helps them pay for a place to live, whatever expenses they incur to go to college. You have to be 100% permanent and total for your dependents to be eligible for Chapter 35. In addition to that, if their income is below the national poverty threshold, they could also apply for Plan B. And they have to use Plan B if they're using Chapter 35, because they cannot use Plan A. Plan A and Chapter 35 are not allowed under California state law. Nancy, did you want to add something to that?
No, you're about right. Like Nathan said earlier, Plan A and Plan B, actually Plan B by far is the most popular benefit because it has no certain percentage required. It does have that income limit that increases every year, and there is no age limit for the student. But no, I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Nathan.
We're just going to do just a couple more questions. It seems to be kind of a popular one is kind of at this, the age of this graduation. So a lot of questions are being asked of, when is the fall deadline? And seems like if a student graduates at age 17, or if they are still 17 and they start school and they turn 18 within like 10 days or a month, is there an exception for that?
You know, the best thing to do for those with gray areas, it would be to apply at your local county veteran service office. It just kind of depends when the student is going to turn 18 and when do they want to attend the summer school or only one semester or full enrollment. You know, that those get a little more tricky, but your local county veteran service office can, when you actually turn in information, you can see a clearer picture, you know, instead of providing something on the fly.
Yeah, and I'll add something to that. Keep in mind that when you're applying for an entire academic year. So as long as that student's going to be 18 years old during that academic year, then they're eligible. So I'm trying to think of a scenario in which, and I know there's some bright children out there who might start college before the age of 18. But if that student's going to be 18 at any point during that academic year, they're eligible.
Wonderful. That's kind of the answer I was looking for. Perfect. And is there a fall deadline of when they need to apply for this for the fee waiver?
Well, typically, a student can apply right before the academic year starts or any time during the academic year. It is very important that the student is aware of when the academic year ends. Let's say, for example, if they're just attending the fall or starting on the spring session, it's very important to know because the California Department of Veterans Affairs does not have the authority to issue these awards for an academic year that has ended. So to answer your question, before and any time during, but not after.
Okay. Let's see here. So a lot more questions keep rolling in. I think we're just gonna go for one more, only just to save some time here. There is a question about residency, and yes, only the child is required to be a resident, but we do advise that you make sure that you contact the school you're wanting to go to and ask them what their residency rules are, just in case. It's always good to verify that.
I saw a question about the unemployment insurance that I think is pretty important, especially during the pandemic. I know we've had a lot of questions about the unemployment insurance and using that as your adjusted gross income. Many of those people that were laid off that were students were receiving unemployment insurance, and then they also got that federal stimulus from the federal government, which was claimed as income, which put them over the limit for the $13,000 for the poverty level. So how are the county offices and CalVet coordinating that go-between when they say that the federal government says there was an adjustment that they would not have to claim that federal unemployment as income?
Well, we do have students that complete their own tax returns. And, you know, we cannot give tax advice. We're not tax consultants, but it would be a good idea that when it comes to this type of information, that they seek someone that can understand the intricacies and the nuances of filing the tax return, especially with this unemployment funding. I do understand that there is some type of waiver of these unemployment benefits that don't have to be counted. But at the end of the day, as I mentioned earlier, we're not tax consultants. We cannot concern ourselves on how the sausage is made. What we look at is the end result, the adjusted gross income. Now, if the student feels or realizes or thinks that their tax return reflects some unwanted figures, or they reported something that they shouldn't have, you know, they're welcome to correct it. And if that correction brings their income below the income threshold, then we can certainly revisit that. But we typically don't tell the students, you know, yes, it can be waived, no unemployment cannot be waived. That's something that, you know, we have some basic information, but that can best be answered by a tax professional. What do you think, Nathan?
I agree. I think that the role primarily of a CVSO is to determine basic eligibility. But as you can imagine, there are some ways to work with the tax professional here to ensure that someone's eligible. So, you know, proof of service connection, proof of veteran status, proof of dependency, proof that you're attending a public college in the state of California, proof of service connection, if I didn't already say that, is the basic fundamentals of how a CVSO is going to determine eligibility. And they're going to look at the tax forms in terms of the adjusted gross income or the statement of non-filing. So I agree with you, Nancy. I want to make a clarifying statement, though. I was wrong about the minimum age limit. I got it confused with Chapter 35. Chapter 35 minimum age limit is 18. Plan B does not have an age requirement at all. Plan B, no age requirement, no minimum age, no maximum age. Plan A, minimum age is 14. Maximum age is 26. So my apologies. There's just so much intricacies in these benefits that I even got my wires crossed in terms of the tuition fee waiver. So if you're looking to apply for Plan B, if you're dependent and they're 17, they can apply because there's no age limit at all. Plan A starts at age 14. Chapter 35, which is what I got confused on earlier, does have a minimum age requirement of 18. So that's the stipend for dependents of vets who are 100% service connected.
Okay, well, we answered so many questions, and I know we're going over on time a little bit here. So if we did not get to your question, I'm so sorry. We're going to keep answering these questions while Kirk moves on to just a couple more slides here. But also, you can contact us, email us at any time, email your CV or contact your CVSO, email them. I'm going to put a couple more links in the chat. Again, for the survey, a couple people said that didn't work. And then also how to find your CVSO again, and I'll also put the resource book in there again too. So I'll go ahead and turn things back over to you, Kirk, and I will, and yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Janet and Jen, for fielding all the questions in the Q&A. And we thank you all for your questions. We may not have answered all of them. We are running a little over on our time, but please, we do value your questions, and we would like to provide that information to you and be accurate for your answer. So if you could, please take this time also to, I'm going to back up one slide real quick. So you have one more chat at the contact information for each one of us and the guest speakers. Reach out to one of us individually if you have questions that are may not answered. We will still be answering them as we go through the rest of these last slides. And then moving forward, we would like you to take a little bit of time and provide some feedback for our survey to give us that feedback. We look to improve our webinars coming up in the future, and we want to make sure that our topics are relevant to what your needs are. So we do value that feedback. So please take the moment to fill out that survey. Also like to take this time to focus on some of our upcoming webinars for the rest of the month of February. We have some coming up for building career opportunities, as well as navigating the stresses of distance learning, and then also a career transition in the GI Bill. And then next month, we are focusing on some employment and compensation and pension on those. We will also have a topic on mental health in March, but we haven't determined the titles of those webinars. So keep a focus on our website for upcoming events. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for your service and thank you all for this time, for joining us today for this wonderful webinar. Again, hopefully your questions were asked, and I apologize if we did not get to it. Please reach out to us and we will try to give you the information that you need. There are those links in the chat. My colleague will be posting the PDF of this webinar in the chat one more time, I believe, so that you can download that. And then she did put in the chat right now, so you could download these slides for your future reference. Okay, and I'll leave this up for just a moment longer. And thank you all. Here's our contact information. Have a great day, and we look to see you again on our upcoming webinars.